Surprising news broke Monday. It was a nice moment for justice and what's right. The Southern Poverty Law Center, otherwise known as the progressives' preferred alternative to Grimm's fairy tales, famous for their captivating defamation pieces and hoax hate crime narratives, has settled with and offers an apology to Maajid Nawaz and his organization, the Quilliam Foundation, for including them in its field guide to anti-Muslim extremists. The settlement is good for over $3 million, which the Quilliam Foundation intends to use for its dual missions of combating anti-Muslim bigotry and Islamist extremism. Maajid Nawaz, of course, is not an anti-Muslim extremist. He's a Muslim anti-extremist, a distinction he emphasized in announcing the lawsuit last summer on Real Time with Bill Maher.
I've decided that I'm sick to death of well-meaning, and I'm sorry to bring identity politics into it, but it's relevant because of what I'm about to say. There's a bunch of well-meaning white men sitting in sweet Alabama who have decided, seriously.
Is that the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Yeah, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Who normally go after, like, the Ku Klux Klan.
And they've decided to list me, along with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, as anti-Muslim extremists. I think, I'm sick and tired of a lot of the well-meaning, because, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
I think he was much too charitable with that characterization. I don't think the Southern Poverty Law Center is well-meaning at all. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think they exist to smear people and to slap their political opposition with labels in an effort to silence them. And it's implied as much within their apology video itself. Here's the SPLC president, Richard Cohen.
The Southern Poverty Law Center was wrong to include Maajid Nawaz and the Quilliam Foundation in our field guide to anti-Muslim extremists. Since we published the field guide, we have taken the time to do more research and have consulted with human rights advocates we respect. We've found that Mr. Nawaz and Quilliam have made valuable and important contributions to public discourse.
Oh, we've done more research. In other words, we at the SPLC call people names first, and only if forced to, we'll do the research later. The SPLC also apologized to its own supporters and all those who depend on their work. We pride ourselves on the accuracy of our reports, they say. And although we know we are not perfect, it pains us greatly whenever we make a mistake. The SPLC prides itself on its accuracy, like Hillary prides herself on her presidency.
And last night won the popular vote.
I did win more than 3 million votes than my opponent.
You mentioned winning the popular vote, obviously, multiple times.
It's not a thing, and you're counting the exception, not the rule. So tell us, SPLC, how accurate were you in labeling Ayaan Hirsi Ali, a Somali woman herself mutilated by Islamic extremism, as an anti-Muslim extremist, a post you've now quietly deleted because it was part of the same dead wrong publication that smeared Maajid Nawaz too. Tell us how accurate you were in calling Ben Carson an anti-gay extremist, another move for which you apologized and removed the post. Tell us how accurate you are today when you call the Alliance Defending Freedom, the group who just won the Colorado Bakers case at the Supreme Court, an extremist anti-LGBT hate group, apparently preserving religious freedom, preserving freedom of association, preserving the right simply not to be forced to provide a good or service against your will is extremist hate. How accurate are you when you call Gavin McInnes an extremist of just generally hateful ideology for having the audacity to say things like, "I'm not a fan of Islam, I think it's fair to call me Islamophobic"? Or this simple quote about how both masculinity and femininity are necessary things and we shouldn't trivialize them by acting like we can just jump between them at any time. Being a man is awesome, Gavin writes. So is being a woman. We should revere these creations, not revel in their bastardization. What is hateful about that quote? It's a quote of appreciation for the inherent value of both men and women. How accurate are you when you claim like 5 country bumpkins in a White Lives Matter demonstration are a hate group, but that's a racist response to the civil rights movement Black Lives Matter? You know, the civil right to murder police officers. Now, as someone who is always advocating free speech on my channel, I have to explain why I celebrate this settlement with Maajid Nawaz, and why what the Southern Poverty Law Center is doing is often outside the scope of what should be considered free speech. I don't want to shut the Southern Poverty Law Center up. I disagree with them on a great many issues, but I will defend their right to express their ideas just like anybody else. The trouble is, what they often do, as they did in this Maajid Nawaz case, is defame. They smear people with the intent to damage them. A couple of important things about defamation. As a legal matter in the United States, it's very narrowly defined and it's very difficult to demonstrate, especially against a public figure like Maajid Nawaz. To win this suit, or to leverage the settlement as he did in this case, Nawaz had to demonstrate not just that the SPLC's claims were false, but that the SPLC knew the claims were false, or at least that they acted with reckless disregard for the truth. In other words, if the SPLC does anything less than lie about people with the intent to damage them, they're off free. But that's what they do, and that's why they're settling for millions of dollars in damages. Another point to consider is the foundational philosophy behind the value of free speech, the marketplace of ideas. The theory that when ideas can compete freely, the best ones will naturally rise, and the worst ones will naturally fall. In this lawsuit, Maajid Nawaz isn't trying to silence any of the SPLC's ideas. He's simply trying to get them to stop lying about him. If anyone's sabotaging the marketplace of ideas in this case, it's the SPLC. They're the ones using smear tactics to try to bully their political opposition into fear and silence. This is about politics. It is not about hate. And if you disagree, find me even one left-wing group the SPLC targets with its alleged hate watch. Where are the profiles on Antifa? Where are the profiles on Black Lives Matter? Where are the profiles on the real violence these groups have perpetrated pursuant to their ideologies of hate? Unless you believe that only one political side has a monopoly on hate, the Southern Poverty Law Center isn't about hate at all. It's about silencing people who are adversarial to left-wing politics. So even though it's rare I celebrate litigation on speech issues, this is one such case. And at least with the SPLC specifically, I hope there will be many more. If you try to bully your political opponents by making knowingly false statements and damaging accusations against them, I am not going to be sympathetic to any free speech claims, because it's actually you who's trying to silence the speech. When you try to shut other people up and you get stopped, that's not a loss of speech. That's maintaining speech. So the SPLC doesn't get any sympathy from me, but they don't deserve it anyway. They're a bunch of extremist, communist, terrorist pedophiles. Jeez, is that actually true? I don't know. Probably. I mean, I did the same level of research they do. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.